Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Wealth Defense Radio. Today, we are starting a new series, and that series is, frequently asked questions that we get from time to time as financial advisors. My name is Josh Nahosa, and I'm an independent advisor representative, and the guy that just showed a lot of self-restraint, not cutting me off in the brief.
When have I ever done that?
In the brief explanation of that is a certified financial planner, and his name is Hector and Josh, and he's not just a certified financial planner, he is the certified financial planner of North Texas, we'll say.
Well, the only financial planner that tried to climb Mount Kilimanjaro in June of 2025.
As far as we know.
As far as we know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So we're starting a new series. This will have some consecutive episodes, but this will all be in a playlist. If you're like, I wonder what the other questions are, and you're watching this in a year, there'll be a bunch of these.
Yeah. And if you have more, send them.
Yeah. We have a couple different ways that you can send your questions. The first way is via email address. That's probably the easiest way for this, actually, and that's info@swandfw.net, and just put podcast question in the subject line of the email. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or Spotify or wherever, give us a like, share us, helps us reach more people. And if you know anyone that might benefit from listening to this, send it their way also.
Yeah, I happen to know that we are now a nationally heard podcast. There's people in Virginia that are listening to our podcast.
Yeah.
Who have not sent us a question like they promised they would have. But hey, we're not going to call anybody out, Carrie.
Yeah. So, I guess today's question, what's today's question?
So we did a slew of research and trying to find what's the top question that a person beginning the search for an advisor would ask. And that question is pretty simple. What services do you provide? And that's what we're going to try to tackle today.
Yeah, we're going to answer this as our company, Swan DFW, because that's the only ones that we feel qualified talking about the services that we provide.
I like that, yeah. We only talk about things that we feel qualified to talk about, mostly.
Yeah. Qualifications, maybe that's next episode. Yeah. Who's to say?
Who's to say?
So
I think you're right, though.
I'll ask you so you can answer it.
Okay.
What services does Swan DFW provide?
Well, it's actually a twofold question. The first one is everything that we do, being a certified financial planner, everything we do starts with a financial plan. Every couple, every individual that has financial goals, they may be the same age and may have the same goal at retiring at whatever age and may want the same amount of income, and yet, because of their risk tolerance, because of the way they look at life, their financial plans may look vastly different. So the very first thing we want to do is create a financial plan and make sure that that plan works in terms of if I have this much and I want to retire then and I need this much income forever, the very first thing we want to do is this plan going to work? Let's create a plan that's going to work so we know now we have a path to follow. And so that's the very first thing is creating a plan that will provide, and again, 90% of the questions we get are about retirement, and we want to make sure that the plan works. Because Josh, everybody has a plan. Sometimes it's all between the ears. They'll say, well, see, I have retirement, Social Security, I have this couple $100,000 in my IRA, and then, I think that's going to work. I think that's good. And because we feel good about it, and because we talk to ourselves about it, we think it's good, and we want to put it down on paper. We want to create a plan and make sure and test it, and we score it like you would any other test, and make sure that the plan, what we're getting ready to commit to, is actually going to work.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing that maybe you don't get from someone that just sells insurance or just sells annuities or just sells Medicare or investments. Is we kind of look at it as like a whole package thing, and not just. We don't just do one thing for you. We kind of look at all the pieces of the puzzle and combine them into one financial plan. But let's talk about the other pieces of the puzzle that we do, because we are able to sell insurance
Yeah.
and Medicare and annuities and handle investments.
Yeah. Like when you do a trip, you're going to take a trip, say, to Africa or Asia, your GPS is going to give you a plan. Okay, you got to drive to the airport, step one. You got to get on this airplane and go to that airport and get off that plane and get on another. So there's a series of steps and different things you have to do to arrive at your final destination, very similar to what a financial plan is. But the basics of a financial plan need to answer three really simple questions. The first one is, what happens if I die? And that's the life insurance question. What if I'm 35, 40, 55 years old and I'm setting up a financial plan, but tomorrow morning I get hit by a car and I die? Then what is my spouse, children, grandchildren, what does that look like? So we need to answer that question. That's the first kind of big question. The second question is, what if I don't die? What if I get hit by that car or in that horrible car accident, but I don't die, but I can't work? Now what happens to my plan? And that's the disability question. And then the third question we need to answer is, well, what if I don't die? What if I never die? What if I'm 125 or 135 years old? I want to make sure that I always have enough money that I can continue my financial independence, that I've got enough money to make my own decisions, that I'm never at the, have my kids take care of me. I don't want to be a burden. How do we do that? And that's the lifetime income question. So those are the really basic core things. First things we got to look at is, what are those questions and what's the plan to survive that?
Yeah, I think that's something that separates us from other firms, is being able to look at all of those and combine it into one plan. And you're a certified financial planner, and so being able to do that for clients is an important part in having the client's best interest at heart. And to have a client's best interest at heart, you have to be able to combine all of these things truly, if you're truly going to do that.
You want to work with, if possible, and you can with us, and say, okay, I need life insurance. Many firms will say, okay, well, we don't sell life insurance. I need to go over there and buy life insurance from him. We don't do that. When somebody needs life insurance, we will tell you, here's the kind of insurance, whether you need permanent or term, and we'll walk through and make sure you get the right kind. Same thing with disability. What kind of disability? With life insurance, it's pretty simple. Everybody can decide when you're going to die. Disability, a little bit different. What is truly disabled? When is fully disabled? What is a 50% disability? What kind of insurance do you need for that? And then lifetime income. If an annuity there's a place for an annuity inside your plan, which annuity, what kind of annuity, and how should that be set up? So when you're working with one firm that can do all those things and they're not sending you out to independent contractors, I think that works way better.
It's helpful, I think, for most people to be able to go. It'd be like, imagine your car needs a tune-up, and you take it to a mechanic, and they're like, well, we only change the back right tire.
Yeah.
So you have a problem in your front left tire. You're going to have to take it to those guys.
To Bob
but
across
they
the
do,
street.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, but you also need an air filter. But we don't sell you air filters. You're going to have to go to,
That's
right?
it.
Here you can do all of that.
Everything.
In one spot.
And more importantly for you and for your family is you have one phone call to make. You're not having to remember, okay, who sold me that left front tire, or it's you call us and we'll say, okay, yeah, we see that we have, and then we can go and take your question and get the answer for you. So convenience down the road is important, but not as important as making sure that everything fits, like you said, in that puzzle. Everything fits to make that your picture of retirement look really good. Look at me.
Wow. So what else do we do besides those main things?
Yeah, well, within the plan, that's a great question, Josh. Within that main plan, then there's they're not as dramatic, but very important to a plan. Things like Roth conversions. You want to make sure that we're converting as much of your IRA as we can for tax purposes down the road, mainly for legacy planning. the Roth conversion fits nicely with legacy planning. Want to make sure or try or attempt to, whatever money we're leaving to kids and grandkids, that the taxes have already been paid for. That's a good thing. College planning. If you're a young couple starting out, the balance between retirement, I have a finite number of dollars. How much of that should I dedicate to retirement planning, and how much should I dedicate to college planning? Tax planning. One of your biggest expenses in retirement is going to be health insurance and taxes. And so we want to make sure that we have thought about that and try to minimize the impact taxes are going to have in your retirement. And the second part of that is Medicare. Once you get to that age 65, what's the best way to handle your health costs? There's, do we want an Advantage plan? Do we want a supplemental plan? All of that fits within a financial plan. And and I'm sure there's other things I'm forgetting, but those are the essential things that need to go into kind of to make it part of a plan, so it's truly a full financial plan.
Yeah. So if you'd like to talk to us about getting your full financial plan and maybe working with us as your financial advisors, we have a couple different ways that you can contact us. The first way is via phone number, and that is 888-792-6339 or 888-Swan DFW, or we have an email address, and that is info@swandfw.net. Both of those will be in the description wherever it is you're watching or listening.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And again, we have the top 10 questions that we're going to do, but if you have a question that you've never heard anybody answer before, send it to us. We'll try to get an answer for you.
Yep. I'll catch you all on the next one.
Thank you. God bless.
The preceding content is informational only and based on information available when created. It is not an offer or solicitation, nor is it tax or legal advice. It does not consider your financial circumstances and objectives and may not be suitable for you.